It was only $40 though, so. It's
but still, $40. Hey, look.
Well, $40 for a goddamn little monitor.
Yeah, not enough. I just want to see what we look like once. Yeah,
you know what you should really do is buy another cheap TV, a smaller one, and put it right there. And we put the HDMI directly to the TV, so then we can really see what we look like. You know?
What? How does that relate to anything?
Because I'd be able to look at myself.
That is like... Why is all of your comedy wildly inappropriate?
It just, I don't know.
And sexual in nature.
That's not all my comedy.
That's all it is on this show.
I'm flattered that you call it comedy, though.
I use that term loosely. Fast and loose. Yeah?
Like your mama. I'm just kidding, Holly. She watches these. She's told me.
A lovely lady.
You know, I did something nice.
You did something nice?
Yeah.
Can you turn up my headphones a little bit?
I was kind of hoping that your mom would
relay.
Yeah,
you did
but
something?
That's not what happened.
I don't know. I haven't talked to her in a while.
You know, after she got the job, I just I sent her a text message and I said, "Congratulations on the job," and I said that I think it's cool that you know, she could be a what did I say? A good role model in Sable's life.
Aw, that is really nice.
Yeah.
The fact that she didn't share it maybe makes her a cold-hearted bitch.
Maybe.
Okay.
We got to keep an eye on that camera, make sure everything's
like it's not tilting.
Yeah, I don't think it's tilting.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome to Blood, Ash, and Oil.
Episode number.
Who gives a shit? Stop saying it. 9.
This is like a continuation of last week, kind of, because we didn't really prepare in the same way, but we're also in a different headspace with the last one, so I think we're gonna keep it going. This week has been crazy. I did so much. I did a guest spot at Manipulations, and I was there for 2 days and tattooed a lot. The second day I tattooed a lot. It was like straight all the way through, and you know, working on stuff, staying up late, working on stuff with my cousin. And
well,
it's just...
and you had that one, the night before you left, you were gone all night. You went to the haunted house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was cool. So I kind of reconnected a little bit with a group of people, mainly a dude that I participated in, like, this haunted house build thing. And it went from this guy's house that we did it in, and now it's a full-blown production. It got best, I think it was last year or the year before, it got best haunted house in Illinois from 2 different rating systems, the only rating systems. So they're killing it. I think they did 15,000 people last year, which is just unbelievable. And it was cool to go there. And first of all, see the logo that I made way back in the day is just everywhere. And it's got, you know, it's just so cool that that logo is still alive. I can't
believe that they've never changed it. You know, not
it's because it's awesome.
Yeah, not saying that they should have. It's just.
Yeah, but I'm just, you know, it's cool. I don't know. It's just cool. I think he told me it's been like 14 years since I was around doing that stuff. But like, you know, that thing is still alive. And he had the first mask that I made for the haunt. He has that in his, like, you know, because he's got a giant makeup room with lights and stations and shelving, and then he's got a separate costume room, and everything's laid out really neatly. And the masks are all up there, and way in the corner is the mask my first mask, and nobody wears it. It just stays up there. It's
and
really
what
cool.
did the building used to be?
Oh, the building used to be legit the Elgin Casket Company.
That's dope.
So, and he walked me through the building. They've been there for a couple of years, and now this year they're totally revamping the whole haunt, and they're moving it to a different portion of the building, so everything's really
huge?
new.
It's like the building huge?
Yeah, it's pretty big. But I was talking with him, because I wondered if he took over the whole thing, But then there's a point of diminishing return with haunts, because if they're too long, people start getting like
Bored.
Okay, when is this fucking thing end?
Yeah.
So, but I guess they're in a really good spot right now. So congratulations, Mike. I don't know if you want me to say your last name. I don't know. It's Evil Intentions. It's the haunted house. So.
Yeah. So go there this Halloween if you remember in 6, 7, 8 months.
Yeah, I'll probably have a booth there. I'll be selling prints of stuff and
handing out cards.
I think I'm doing a mural in the gift shop there. So
you're gonna accidentally become a horror themed tattoo artist.
Yeah, I don't care. I like doing fucking portraits from movies. So, and I like blood. So
bring it on.
Okay, so I had asked we have a group chat at the shop called the Drawing Game, and I'd asked them if I overlooked something or if there were any blind spots in my logic, just to kind of check myself. And
wicka, wicka.
What?
Wicka, wicka.
What is it?
Check yourself. Yeah.
I don't.
Like
that's
a rap
not
song?
a thing. That's not a thing.
Check yourself or wreck yourself.
Oh, okay, yeah. Wicka, wicka, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
See?
Oh my God, you're so white.
Is that white? It seems like I'm cultural if
No,
I use some
doing
rap.
this as a blonde girl with nice eye makeup.
No, it would be really white if I went. Wait, what do those girls do?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I don't know.
That's even more white. That's mom white.
No, it's not mom
What do those girls
white.
do? Do they? And you awkwardly
Okay, well that's mom white. But
oh my God,
the girls
you're
that
turning
do
into
that,
a white mom. You're turning into a white mom.
I am a suburban mom.
Holy shit.
You're married to a
Heck,
suburban
gotta
mom.
get a new one.
You just got to get a side piece. You don't replace the woman who runs your life and raises your child. You get a side piece.
I couldn't have a side piece.
You don't have the fucking time.
You know how much effort that is, and you know what, the side piece. It's got to. The side piece has got to be a little dumb, because that's how it works.
Yeah, there's no point in having like a.
What am I gonna get an intelligent, articulate woman that would. Help me cheat on my wife. No, they don't do that. Dumb bitches do that shit.
Dumb bitches.
Anyway.
If you'd like to apply.
Yeah.
If you're a dumb bitch.
And I don't want to have to,
Well, and you need...
I don't want to have to, help her open a car door because she can't figure it out, I don't want those chores.
Well, and you need the worship aspect. So she's got to be a little dumb because she's got to worship you.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, I think
they have to worship.
Don't you want that?
I don't even know how to cheat. I'm so lame. I don't even know how to cheat.
I think that's what you would want as a man out of your side piece when you're in a marriage. You want a dumb, pretty girl that thinks you're the greatest thing on earth. Am
I married to my side piece?
You're about to be divorced.
But half of that was really nice, what I said. The other half... Oh, you didn't get it? She didn't get it. I'd much rather go to a fucking massage parlor and do it that way, but it's a little dirty that way. I mean, it's a little dirty the other way. Those girls that are dumb and party a lot, you don't know.
I think you'd have to have like a high class escort.
Yeah, and that would be really expensive.
Yeah, you'd have to be rich to do a side piece the best way possible. Because you just have to meet her at a hotel, have a few drinks. You don't drink, but whatever. You also don't go out in public. But I mean,
I did a thing today.
You do, but you don't. You generally with your side piece, you go out and then you go to a hotel room.
I did.
You would just be like, "Can you just meet me at my house and I'll tell my wife to leave?"
Yeah. Just fucking go to a parking lot across the street. Anyway. I did a thing today. I had a meeting with the Chicago Airsoft Association. I had an obligation to do a thing, and I went and did it.
I just took care of our
lunch.
Took care of our child for continuation. She's sick.
Yeah,
Freaking preschool. Freaking preschool. So she's sick again. So we've just been hanging out, dealing with a slightly whiny baby all day, and yesterday she was a little
that
off.
Thing that happened last night.
Oh my good.
So I tried to explain this to the CAA members because they're dads. And, and they didn't. As I described it, I can tell they didn't understand what really her movements and how scary it was. So she's whining all night because she's got a fever, and I'm like, every once in a while, I'm she'll wake me up, and I'll like I put a cold rag on her head, and I'm like blowing on her, and I'm touching her because I can feel like my hands are colder than her body and stuff. And she's going like this one of the times, and she's whining, and I can't console her. And after a while, I'm like,
what are you gonna do?
I can't. There's nothing I could do here. And I'm like, Mommy's over there, because I thought she was reaching for Mommy, and maybe she was. But then she started whining more and more and more and getting more upset. And I like sat up, and she immediately started like these melee rapid movements.
It was like panic.
In terror. And the sounds that she was making was true terror.
Yeah, she was screaming.
And I don't remember what she did, but her body stiffened up, almost like if you were, like you said, almost like if you were falling off of something and you're doing that. But her panicked, like, screaming, it was like she was being attacked. And her whole body was, like, super stiff, and it was super, super ultra scary. And you instantly got fucking emotional.
I am not good.
And then I'm
dealing with Sable.
And then I'm distracted by you and trying to calm you down because it's just making the shit worse. And then, and then she kind of snapped out of it a little bit. And then we like went to go pick her up, and she fucking did it again. We're trying to wake her up because I'm thinking at this point either something medically is happening with her where she instantly has extreme pain inside of her body,
know if it
and
was
she's
like pain or even like almost like a seizure.
Yeah,
that like
because
weird...
she was sick. So
yeah,
but then it happened again, and it was so. When I think about it right now, it makes me scared.
Yeah,
that's how scary
terrifying.
of the movements, and you could see that she was like
her eyes were open the whole time.
Yeah, she was like seeing something or whatever, and it happened 3 times. And we tried to ask her if she was having a dream and stuff, and she said she was having a bad dream, but it's hard to tell with her because
she'll
you could
just
be
kind
like,
of agree.
Was it a giant cookie rolling after you? And she'd be like, yeah, it's a giant cookie rolling after you. But she'll just
agree
3.
with whatever you suggest. Yeah, she was, and she seemed kind of weird about it. Like when we were trying to talk to her about it, she seemed like almost embarrassed. Like she wanted to change the conversation, and she didn't want to talk about it,
which was really scary.
Yeah, it was no good. I don't know.
I think it was just a fevered nightmare.
She was having nightmares all night. Like she was crying in her sleep and getting upset, and she'd settle back down. But she was definitely having nightmares all night.
You think as like a parent, you think like if something like that would be like psychological. Something was happening psychologically that was more of a large issue, like schizophrenia or something like that. I'd thought of that as it was happening.
Ew, that's terrifying.
Yeah, and I was just trying to like, and then Faith just like instantly starts bawling, crying. And
I wasn't crying.
Yes, you started crying.
I wasn't crying.
Yeah, you totally were crying.
No, I was doing my panicked voice thing.
No, you went from the panic voice thing, and the third time it happened, you started crying, like frantically crying.
Oh, I don't even remember.
Yeah, and then I'm like, calm down. As she's freaking out, as the baby's freaking out, because she wasn't responding at all to us while this was happening.
Well, but she was trying to like burrow inside of me. Like she was,
but she was also
she was like hiding in my neck. Like she was like clinging on to me like a tiny little monkey. And but once after she did that, she was like doing this, but then reaching and grabbing me.
So what I think happened is she was having a dream and she was reaching out, and I was like, "Mommy's over there, Mommy's over there." I was trying to do stuff for her, and she didn't. I didn't know what she wanted. So what I did is I pushed her, because her hands were up straight. I pushed her over so that she would feel you. And I think her dream entangled with me talking to her and me pushing her over, because didn't she say something about that
Daddy was coming to get, like, yeah, well, we asked her, you know, when she's like freaking out, like what's happening, and she said something about like Daddy's trying to get me or something like that.
Something about, or something Daddy was scared. Daddy scared me or something like that.
Yeah, something about Daddy, which was.
I felt it was such a terrible feeling.
I was kind of like, oh, I think I shouldn't say anything about me.
But I just continued to talk to her and reason with her, and
she finally settled down and went back to sleep, and she woke up. You know, she slept in a little bit, but she's just been kind of... I hope that doesn't happen tonight.
Scary
again.
moment, but whatever. Okay, how are we doing on times? We're about to jump into it.
Yeah, we might as well have that be the long-ass intro and then restart it. 6 minutes, so we might as well.
Uno, dos, tres.
I actually don't need to do it with you. All right, so... Feedback. What? I don't need to do it with you. We don't both need to snap. You waited for me.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, so last week we covered creative ruts, and we probably didn't do that great of a job because we did not go into it.
What are you talking about?
Well, no. It just probably wasn't as organized as it could have been had we planned a little bit for it. We kind of just had a discussion.
That's what makes a good podcast. Not reading off a list. Reading off a list doesn't make a good podcast. Talking and thinking through it in real time makes for a good podcast, I think.
Whatever. Anyway,
so
we asked for some feedback from
the drawing game,
from the other artists at the shop, and Cassandra from the shop said, you need to talk about how to find motivation. I do agree that if you are well versed in a wide range of media, it's easier to hop to a new project and avoid burnout. But I think you should talk about 1, a lack of motivation and how to get motivated. You both seem like very motivated people. LOL. 2, when you have the motivation but don't know where to start. For example, I will get really wrapped up in learning about something, like I spend 2 weeks watching videos about painting on fabric, purchased fabric paint and fabric, and then never used it because I couldn't think of an idea that I thought was cool enough to use my limited resources. Like I didn't want to waste materials, so none of my ideas felt worthy of doing, and then eventually I lose interest and start working on something else.
Okay, let's go through each thing real quick, because I think I have answers to that, or that work for me. So what was the first part of that?
First one is lack of motivation and how to get motivated.
Well, first of all, I think you need feedback from somebody. That has to be the goal. That has to be the motivator. Like, that's what you should be seeking. You should be seeking good feedback from the people around you, because that's just the way you know that something works and people like it, and that feels good. So that has to be, it always can't be just about yourself, and, it's also about other people. So
you're trying to create a positive feedback loop in doing that?
Yeah, so like tattooists have a luxury of having a built-in audience, which is their clients. So what you're doing is, when your clients are skimming through your Instagram and they come across a piece of artwork that you did that it's not tattooing, that's like an advertisement. That's an advertisement. And if people that you tattoo, if they enjoy what they see, they feel like they're a part of what you're doing, because, oh, that's my tattoo artist. It's cool for them to be able to follow what you're doing, and that makes them want to get tattooed more, and that makes them want to give you more freedom. And you also get positive feedback from your peers, which is really, really important. And in order to get positive feedback from your peers, you have to produce something. So what was the second part of that? But that's.
No. Let's talk a little bit more on that. So I think that's a tool for staying motivated, and I think it's kind of a tool to start out getting motivated. because what you're doing is creating a positive feedback loop. You want to be accepted by your peers and you want to get social recognition, and it sets off a bunch of little chemicals in your brain every time that happens, which is why people are obsessed with getting likes on Instagram or Facebook, because it goes, oh, I'm being accepted in the group, you know, and so your brain wants to feel that. So then if you do feel that with one drawing, you then go, okay, I want to feel that way again. You create another drawing, but that doesn't really maybe get you started, because some people are scared to post their stuff, so that won't work for everyone.
I wasn't talking about getting started. I'm talking about motivation.
Yeah, but she's at baseline 0.
Well,
she's not motivated. So how do you get motivated?
Right. So the goal is to get positive feedback, and you need to recognize that as your goal, and especially as a professional artist. That's what you want, because that makes you money at the end of the day and makes all the other things that makes being an artist good. Now, getting started, okay, that's really easy, because those are just like tricks, just little tricks that you do. So one thing, she said she bought fabric paint, right? And she didn't have an idea of like,
well, let's not go there yet, because that's something else entirely. That's a procrastination method that she's using in that. So back up. I think
what
I think getting motivated is a holistic approach. I don't think it's so little as trying to get positive feedback. It's taking care of your body, setting up systems. It's a whole life thing to get motivated to do things.
I think it's the exact opposite, because if you're not motivated, if your current situation is motivation 0, the problem with getting motivated is the mountain. People know that, and it's a mountain of shit that they feel like they should be doing, and it's unapproachable. So it's the opposite. It's little things that get you going, that starts the first little bit of feedback that you feel good feelings about, and then you go, oh, that's the feeling. I want to try to do that again better than last time, and more often, or in grander ways. It's the exact opposite. And then once you have the ball rolling,
that's an opinion. That's completely subjective, not objective.
So you're saying in order to get motivated, you have to maintain a healthy diet. You have to get get healthy. You have to be on top of everything in order to get motivated, because no one would ever get anything done, because the problem is doing those things. Motivation is those things.
I don't think that you can get motivated and stay motivated if you feel like crap from your lifestyle health choices. I don't think it's achievable unless you feel good. And to feel good, you don't need to be a fucking health guru, but you need to eat something other than fucking candy bars and move your goddamn body.
Yeah, but first of all, that's not true for everybody. And we're not talking about staying motivated. We're talking about getting motivated, right?
And what I'm saying is that if you feel like shit every day because you're not taking care of your body, there's no way you're going to fucking do extra work every day. You're going to get home and you're going to fucking watch TV or watch YouTube videos.
But I don't think
because you feel like shit.
I don't think that's true.
Well, I think that's true.
I don't think that's necessarily true for everybody, because there's a lot of people that do a lot of things, and the problem we're talking about is getting moving, because it's not like
but don't you
my concerns didn't go in this order: health, eating right, exercise, feeling good, and then that leads to me making artwork. That's not how that went, and that's probably not how, because that is a huge undertaking to do those things, and
not in a crazy way. I just think that when you take better care of yourself, you have more energy, you feel good, and then you feel better about yourself and your ability to accomplish other tasks.
Okay, but
I think that would just
is that the way to get started? which is what the question is.
I think it would be.
Okay. Well, then
to me, I think that taking care of your health a bit, you don't need to be, I can't remember that trainer's name on TV, but you don't need to be going to the gym. Just go for a walk, eat an apple instead of a candy bar today. Just make small choices so that at the end of the day, you don't feel like shit and you get home from work and you go, okay, like I'm feeling a little peppy. I made some good choices today. My body feels better. Now I have the energy to do other things.
Maybe that's because you're a woman, maybe. Because your body goes through way more of a roller coaster,
It is. It's a fucking roller coaster.
So maybe that's a female thing.
Well,
that's
and I
interesting,
think
though.
females tend to have less energy in general, which is a problem. Men have more energy because you're the fucking hunters. We're supposed to be like coddling kids at home and, cooking things. So I feel like we don't have as much.
What was that?
Shut up. I don't feel like we have as much energy. So I think taking care of our bodies, and we have the hormonal swings all month that can fuck your life up. So I think taking care of your body is more important. And second, I think, a good place to start to find motivation would be to get a journal. And
see, all these things are just like make me want to puke.
Well,
this is a girl. This is a girl guy thing. This is a girl guy thing.
Well, then,
and Cassandra is a girl, so maybe this, I don't know, maybe it would work, but
not journal about your feelings. Journal like every day. I have like a what's it called? Like something high performance planner. And so every day I write down like the 3 most important things I need to do that day, top priorities that I can't get to today but need to keep at the top of my mind.
Just that group of words just makes me want to like...
Oh, we're so different.
Set my pants on fire.
I'll set your pants on fire.
You do all the time.
But I think just reminding yourself... See, okay. Also, I am super type A, and you are super not type A.
Okay, well, let's get to how to start making art, okay?
I think that's how to do it.
Okay,
that's what
after that, how do you actually start making art? So you think you should take steps to get to get you feeling good. I don't necessarily, although that's a good idea, I don't necessarily think that means that. Now what?
Choice architecture of your environment.
Oh, see, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here with this bullshit. This bullshit.
Okay, so I listen to a ton of personal development stuff.
Fuck those people.
Just a ton
fuck
of it.
Those people.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
I'm just going to say.
Go fuck
those
yourself.
people.
No, what I'm saying is if you want to sketch more, fucking take your planner or your little sketchbook everywhere. What are the odds that you sketch if every morning you wake up and your sketchbook is on your kitchen table where you sit to eat breakfast? Choice architecture.
I think people need to get a little taste. They need to get a little bit of a taste for what it is that they're searching for out of it. And they need to do that right away. They only get a little bit of it.
Maybe this is more like staying motivated.
What I'm talking about?
No, what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. How you get started. Like, people don't understand, the reasons for doing stuff sometimes that are really difficult. It's because they don't have a taste in their mouth for it. Like, you get a taste in your mouth for it, and you're like, oh, that's the thing. That's the goal. I gotta do that more. So what I suggest is doing something, like in this case, Cassandra bought fabric paint, right? And she feels like, it's sitting there and she's like, oh, I don't know what to do with it. There's a lack of motivation. She feels like she might fuck it up, after she just bought all this shit. What you do is do a thing you already did. Like, stay well within your capabilities.
This is actually a theory. It's called the Goldilocks theory, where you don't make anything too hard or too easy. It's like something like you increase the challenge by 4% every time to keep you a little bit challenged but winning still. That you don't try to do something really hard.
I just kind of thought of it, but
that's science. Now you have science behind that.
Yeah, cool. Sweet. Yeah. But doing something small, doing something that within a reasonable time frame, within your current attention span, that you could do and do with precision. Small is important because sometimes you lose focus with precise things because you're overwhelmed by how big something is. You have to build up a tolerance for your focus to develop a finished product. And the goal should always be the finished product. A lot of times I think people don't have that in the mind. Like they want to do something, but they get so lost in the midst of doing it, and you're struggling with it, and you make changes and all that they forget that the goal should be a finished product. So first have a finished product in your head, whether it's like, okay, I'm going to forget the fabric because I don't know anything about fucking fabric paint. But if you were going to do a painting, do a small painting of a simple object, something that you would like. Think about how you're going to do it briefly in a couple of steps. Execute it. Do it with precision. Present it nicely somehow. Take a picture of it. Fucking put it out on the internet. Or show people, but really it's put it out on the internet. Let people see it. Let people give feedback. And if you don't get as much as you thought you would get back, that's a good thing. It's a good thing because you're going to find that you're going to execute that little thing and you're going to do it and you're going to put it out and you're going to feel good no matter what because you just decided to do a thing, you prepared to do the thing, you executed it to the best of your ability because it's way within your ability level and you had a finished product. Now you have a clear sense of a assembly line of action that leads to having a piece of successful art. And having that system in place and knowing that it's there is really important. And now for the next time you do something, or maybe you do that 100 times, whatever, the next time you do that, you get a little bit more ambitious for what you want, what you want to do, because you want a little bit of more of that good feeling from self-satisfaction, from people seeing it, likes, your clients, liking it, whatever. And then you modify that assembly line, making sure that you're not doing something that takes too long because you'll lose focus or too difficult.
Or have a couple of things going, like have a big project, but also spend some of your time doing little wins. Like instead of working 6 months on one painting, work 6 months on the one painting and then also have smaller little wins within that time frame and posting progress.
I don't agree with that though. I don't agree.
You don't agree with
I don't agree because a lot of people's problems is that they don't understand the full process to a final end result because they're distracting themselves because they get to a point and they're like, fuck, and they move over here. But you need to go, fuck, and then, but you really, what you need to do is do something that you don't end up saying fuck to and getting stuck. You need to experience the whole thing to completion with a small thing and be like, okay, I did that thing. Now we're going to do that again. We're not going to distract ourselves with another thing. We're going to do that again.
Well, no, you could plan it within there, not...
No, but it's too much. You're talking about somebody...
Oh my God, I want to punch you in the face.
You're talking about somebody that is having trouble with motivation, right?
Yeah, so you want them to stay motivated for 6 months off of milking the final feeling and not having little wins?
What are you talking about 6 months? I'm talking about one day, a half a day
I was just saying about 6 months. I said when you want to do bigger work, do little work in between. You know, you have something big going, but you're still, you know, because eventually people want to do bigger work, but it can be hard to stay motivated on a piece that takes you months and months. Kind of like
you're not understanding
what you do all the time.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying you start with a small project.
Okay, I get it. Move on.
You don't do a painting that takes you 6 months until you have the ability to do it. You then do a larger project, and then once you become comfortable, you do a larger project, and you start to understand more in detail the processes that give you the end result of what you want. You move slow, and you do one production at a time. One production at a time, and they get bigger and bigger until you develop the patience for it. You don't do a bunch of stuff and then throw a Hail Mary and try to do a painting that takes you 50 hours. You don't do that. I don't, some artists will jump around to paintings like crazy. I used to do that. I do not do that anymore.
When did you stop doing that? Because you did that like a month ago.
When?
The 20 paintings that we have hanging that aren't finished. From the whole series of shit you did? You didn't finish any of those.
They're all finished. They're all clear-coated.
They weren't finished for the longest time, and you kept starting new ones. I mean, they were finished.
No, they weren't finished. They weren't finished because they got to a point where I didn't know how to push it further, and they needed to dry for like 6 months before you can properly clear it. So once I got to a point where like, I don't know, I pushed it to its brink. I don't know what else to do. I think it's done. It's going to go downstairs. I'm going to start on the next one. That's a way different thing than stacking up paintings. I mean, it took me over a year to do like 5 paintings.
Is she crying?
I don't know.
I think she's just having fun with TV. Okay.
Oh, she's crying.
Yeah, she's crying.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Okay, we're back, and Sable is...
She's down here. She's sitting over here with headphones on watching a show. I'm gonna double check, make sure it's recording. So, we'll move on to the next part, but basically what I was saying is start small and complete something well within your ability, no matter what that means. Whether it means a tiny little painting or what, just do it, maybe even buy a frame for it, make it a finished product. Try to polish something that you already know how to do, because most people are spending so much time pushing the envelope that they don't produce what you can produce with the skills that you have in order to get the satisfaction out of doing it. So that's what I mean. And then you could take on more ambitious things.
Yeah, and so the second part was spending too much time basically planning, and then you lose motivation. And I think that is, because I do this too, is procrastination due to fear of fucking it up.
Yeah, fear.
Which I think she recognizes in that she doesn't want to waste it or fuck it up. And so I think for that, it's doing really small things. Like just trying it out in a really small thing so you can quickly finish it. And also quickly, like you're not starting something so big that you get 3 hours into it and then you mess something up in it. And then you're like, well, fuck, I wasted all this stuff doing something really small. So even though you're fucking stuff up, you finish it to completion and you learn from that before you go to the next thing. And I think also, even though you're making mistakes, finishing something is important, just so that you get the whole process down, so that every challenge within it. Like I just did that house sketch, but before that I did like a 2x2 sketch. And it went terribly, and it's super ugly, and it's hilarious.
When there's a upside to finishing something that you fucked up, because at the end of it, you feel like, okay, this is what I fucked up on. this is what needs to be corrected because it's staring you in the face. But when you get to a point where you fuck up and you just discard it and you hide it from yourself because you don't want to look at the failure of it, then you don't finish anything,
Yeah, and people do that a lot, I think. Don't finish anything.
Yeah.
They just start a lot of things. People, I've seen that a lot. And I think also rewarding yourself for the effort, not like giving yourself actual rewards, but just feeling good about the effort versus, you keep messing stuff up and then you're like, oh, fuck it. I'm just going to do something else with my life. Just being like, okay, this is part of the process and recognizing it as part of the process instead of a failure.
Yeah.
Just being like, okay, cool. Well, I worked on something.
Yeah, there's so much that's so important too, that it's just problem after problem after problem after problem until it's done, and then you get the reward, and then the next time it's problem after problem. Even when you're working within your comfort zone, because you have to put a lot of effort in, and the more thought you put into the process, the more focus you give it, the better the reward, because usually the better the piece of art. And in Cassandra's case, she's a good example of somebody that could be really successful with this first step, because she does a lot of those female faces with the watercolor. She has a good sense of like what works while doing a female bust or a female portrait in watercolor with a bunch of abstract crazy things, because the ones that I've seen, most of them are pretty they're pretty balanced in composition. So, if your goal is to just, maybe that would be a good goal, is to go to the store, pick out a frame first. That's a good trick. You pick out a frame first, you get a piece of whatever, board or canvas, you find a reference, you do a little bit of a sketch maybe, you kind of think about the color palette, you fucking draw it and then transfer it, or however you do it, and then you give yourself the time to focus. And like for example, if a color stops on an edge, and you notice that it is very difficult to make that edge clean in the way that you want to make it, the only way to do it is to slow down. Like I told you, she's sniffling a lot. I told you to manage your scale of focus. So when you're doing a tattoo or when you're doing a painting, you sometimes it's your focus is on the big picture and you're filling in large areas and you're trying to read it as a viewer of the painting. But then sometimes there's things like an edge that is very difficult to do just because it's awkward, and you have to then shrink your focus, and that is super hard to do, and it's a skill. And you shrink your focus down, because the only way your painting's going to look good is if it's clean like that, if it's depending on the style of painting. But you have to think like the only way for it to happen is for you to do it. So that's why doing small things are really important, because you could spend the time, because if you're doing a painting this big and it takes you a half a day to finish it, I mean, you can spend a lot, you could give it a lot of focus and have it be good, whatever that means for you, But okay, let's go to the next thing here.
Oh, good. I started it. I don't remember if I started it.
I do one painting at a time, by the way.
Oh, God.
I just want to put it out there.
I'm going to throat punch you. Maybe also thinking of ideas is kind of like part of that is, I think when a lot of people sit down to draw, they don't know what to draw.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think I just always, to come up with ideas, consuming a lot of media, not in the sense of like social media, But just seeing other things, I think, gives you ideas. So I think when you're, if you're not present on social media of some sort and you're just going through your day every day, I think that's harder to find inspiration than when you're seeing other people's cool creations and you're not copying them. But it's also motivating when you see other people doing cool shit and you're like, I want to do cool shit too. But also it's giving you ideas of how to do things because you're looking at how other people do them. And so, I think that can help with ideas, is just looking at everything else that's
totally.
going on.
Instagram is a great tool for
Pinterest.
that. But my problem, or the way that I don't think that you're wrong. I think that's a good thing to say, but that's not the way that I do it. So I'll look on Instagram and I'll see something that's unbelievable and I'll say, fuck, I wanna do something at that level. That's what I think, I don't necessarily the only way I would, I don't want to say like copy, but mimic in a way, is the how realistic something is. That's the only, but most of the time it's like I want to do something of that level, of that quality. And then what I would suggest to people for inspiration is you have to think that if you're an artist and you're making pieces of art, it has to be from your perspective, I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be, but then you got a fucking crazy idea for what art is anyway, and you probably got a lot of ideas because that's interesting. But it has to be the world around you, your how you interact with people, so things that happen to you, objects in your life that you see all the time. Just because it feels empty when you,
She really doesn't seem to be feeling well.
No, if everything around you gives you an empty, hollow feeling and it doesn't inspire you, that's a reason to paint those things. You know what I mean? That's a reason. You have to look at your experiences and the things around you and try to, you can build on that because you start examining things, and it literally comes down to the objects around you, because you want to do something that's small and efficient, and you want to get through it, and you want to make something that's presentable, and you did a thing, and sometimes you can't. There's just no ideas, and just the objects around you are the things that are there to paint. Cassandra doesn't have a lack of objects around her that she can paint, because she at the shop, she's got like fucking like little dinosaurs, and she buys a bunch of like wacky
kitschy
toys.
Little toys.
Yeah, she's got like the poo emoji squeezy thing that like smells like strawberries, and she buys all that shit, and she's like a 17-year-old Japanese girl. But so in that case, and sometimes you got to go to a fucking dark place. That's a great way to feel inspired, is to feel a little bit vulnerable about the subject matter, and because it's scary, but when you do it, the benefits are so huge for you, and people notice, and they see it, they either can identify with it. Are you cold?
She can't hear you over that.
Yeah.
And also maybe creating meaning somehow to stay motivated to create more meaning for your work. That's a large thing in studies of what creates fulfilled people, is doing meaningful things, regardless of whether they're actually meaningful. If you ascribe meaning to things, they are more powerful in your life. So, like a thing that I've been doing lately with tattooing is to focus on doing meaningful tattoos or creating some meaning behind tattoos, so that I get more satisfaction out of them versus only focusing on the technical performance.
Yeah.
You know, because like a problem that I have is I'm never happy with any tattoo that I do. So, you know, it leaves me feeling empty. And then what's the drive behind continuing to do the work? So I just needed to, I mean, everything that people, like, unless it's like, yeah, I mean, like, everything is just a mind trick. Everything. Yeah. Your whole life is just tricking your brain because your brain hates you. That's like, beginning and end of the day, your brain fucking hates you. And it wants you to be unhappy. It wants you to be grasping for more. It is out to get you.
It wants things for free, you know, without work.
Yeah, your brain sucks, and the only way to have a good life is to
fight it.
And figure out ways to trick it. So my brain is super critical because brains do that. And so it was robbing me of any happiness I had from doing work because all I thought every time I did anything was, well, it's not perfect. You still suck. You're still a piece of garbage. Your work's still not good enough. And instead, because I was getting really run down in that, instead I was like, okay, well, how can I make myself happy with the situation instead of running from the situation? And that was to focus on the meaning. So instead of focusing on my technical performance or the aesthetic of the tattoo, wanting to try to do a certain style of tattoo or wanting to do my personal artwork, instead I was like, I'm just going to make this experience a good experience for the person, you know, surprise them with how nice of an experience you can get while getting tattooed, you know, be super nice and accommodating, and then also focus on what the tattoo means to that person. You know, so like I just did one for a mom who has an autistic son, and I did like an autism tattoo, and, you know, doing that sort of thing and being like, wow, this person gets to have a tattoo for their kid and it's meaningful, instead of focusing on how I did it or the artwork. And I was a lot happier with that tattoo and a lot happier with that day and that experience by changing how I focused.
Well, it's almost like you were, you know, that mindset. It's like almost like being more present, you know, because when you're so focused on the technical things, you're not present. You know, I'm super guilty of that. I find it scary to be present sometimes.
This poor baby is just suffering. What do you need?
She can't hear. I
know.
She can't
hear anything. She's got
headphones
headphones in.
Mommy.
Yeah, she's having a terrible time.
What's on this paper? Is there anything we need to go over? Because we're getting close to an hour here.
I think we can. Randomly, the color green is motivating and inspires creativity. So if you want to do a little life hack with green, you can do that. Yeah, I mean, they've done the studies on all the colors and how your brain reacts to them. So
what's a good way to get a lot
green.
A lot of green around you?
I actually have a lot of plants, and they make me happier. I know, we're almost done, baby.
She needs to go to the doctor tomorrow.
Maybe.
She's pretty sick.
A lot of things, you know. Well, whatever. I mean, you disagreed with me so much on so many other things that I just don't want to talk about it anymore. You've
Pussy.
defeated me. No, I just don't want to get into it because if we're almost at an hour, so. Here, come here, baby. Yeah, take the headphones off. Take the headphones off.
She doesn't look good.
Come here. Well, she also didn't sleep enough. Come here. Come here.
She's all disheveled.
Yeah, she does, and her eyes are all bloodshot. We should take her eyes. She keeps saying her eyes are burning.
Your eyes are burning? Oh, poor baby. Okay. Well, we got into some nitty-gritty there.
Yeah, and it was really nice to have a follow-up question to then answer today. Oh, the dog came in, so now the door's open. That's why it's so loud. Jesus Christ, this is falling apart. So if you want to hear more on the subject or you have another spin-off question for this, we'd really appreciate it. And also please subscribe, share, like, follow,
cool.
all those things.
Later.
Okay. Toodaloo.